Tantor Audio, a division of recorded books, presents The Games, A Global History of the Olympics by David Goldblatt, narrated by Napoleon Ryan. Introduction. O sport, pleasure of the gods, essence of life! You appeared suddenly in the midst of the grey clearing which writhes with the drudgery of modern existence, like the radiant messenger of a past age, when mankind still smiled. And a glimmer of dawn lit up the mountain tops, and flecks of light dotted the ground in the gloomy forests. Georges Hurod and M. Eschbach, gold medal winner, 1912 Olympic Arts Competition. Baron de Coubertin had long believed that sport was not antithetical to the arts, but a distinct and important component of a society's cultural life. It therefore seemed natural to him, though not to many athletes and artists of the time, that the Olympic Games should also stage artistic, literary, and musical competitions on the theme of sport. In the run-up to the 1912 Stockholm Olympics, he made repeated attempts to persuade the Swedish hosts to stage such an event. But after consulting their own artistic community and finding them either baffled or antipathetic to the notion, they politely declined the offer. Unperturbed, the Baron announced independently that there would be a competitive artistic strand to the 1912 Games, and sent out a call for entries to be posted to his own address, where, as far as one can tell, he alone served as the judging panel. In the poetry section, the prize went to Hurod and Eschbach's florid Ode to Sport. It certainly would have appealed to the Baron's own rather peculiar religiosity and overdramatic understanding of ancient and modern sporting history. Yet in some important ways, they were absolutely right. The ancient world had its games, but the modern world played sport. Starting in the mid-18th century through to the early 20th century, in Northern Europe and the United States, the majority of the sports we now play were codified from older games and recent experiments, or, like basketball and handball, invented completely anew. Unlike almost all pre-modern games, they were separated out from religious or local calendars, rituals, and purposes, acquiring their own internal meanings and pleasures. Unlike the intense parochialism of the pre-modern world, these sports were given stable written form that allowed them to spread nationally and then globally, secured by the creation of modern rational bureaucracies to administer them. All of which meant that, at precisely the moment that the rise of industrial capitalism and militarism was making the world a harsher, more miserable, more instrumental place, they also fostered an alternative, the organized play of modern sport. Hurod and Eschbach, as well as prolix poets, were names taken from two villages, Hurodberg and Eschbach-Oval to be precise, close to the birthplace of Coubertin's wife, and were thus, in addition, his rather obvious pseudonym. Having set up his own competition to which he submitted his own poem, which he then adjudged the winner, I think we must assume he rather liked it. But a century later, time has not been kind to Coubertin's words. Submitted in French and German, these versions of the poem have some tiny scraps of rhythm, form, and rhyme, but the English translations read with the same ponderous pomposity as a school sermon. Given the sanctimonious tone of the words, this is perhaps its natural genre. For the most part, it is just an excruciatingly bad exegesis on the model of amateur gentlemanly sport, pioneered in the elite educational and military institutions of the West in the 19th century, where sport built the character and moral framework required to rule empires and their unwashed masses. It was this, and only this group of athletes, and this kind of sport, that was getting the mountain-tops of modernity glimmering. Thus, not much can be salvaged of Coubertin's ideological legacy, either from this poem or the world of gentlemanly sport from which it arose. Amateurism and its elite codes have been abandoned by the Olympics, and Coubertin's deeply held belief that the Games were primarily a spiritual affair and form of modern religion has been quietly forgotten in
Sample complete. Ready to continue?